Hi everyone, so I promised 6 weeks ago that I would start making videos for you guys, and here we are 6 weeks into the semester and I'm just making my first and I'm so sorry. But you know, I see you guys every week, so it's okay. So we're going to talk about planning your NaNoWriMo novel this week, and I know that we're going to talk a lot about this stuff in class, but I also want to make sure those that are just online also get the same amount of information. My birds are disruptive, I'm very sorry. They chirp every time I talk. They don't do it for anybody else, just me. Anyway, okay, so we're going to be talking about our main protagonist and our antagonist at this moment. So the main protagonist is your main character, and that is basically the backbone of your story. I know that earlier in the semester we talked about books that are theme-based, books that are plot-based, books that are character-based, that are setting based. The fact of the matter is, if you don't have a main character that has a conflict, then you don't have a story. So all of these different types of novels, the one thing remains the same: they have a character that everything is built off of. And that's what I want you to concentrate on. And I know last week you started your homework for it, but this week I really want you to think deeply. I want you to take the personality test as if you are your character. Do not answer the questions as if you are yourself. Do it as your character. Okay, and the website's here. Okay, so your main protagonist, I want you to learn about them and know about them deeply. I want you to know how they would react to situations, the things that bother them, the things they enjoy, the things that motivate them. And I want you to really fully, deeply understand them. And from that, your story will be born, because you'll know what bothers them. And so what does bother them? Is it another person? If it's another person, then that becomes your antagonist. If it's something in society, then that becomes your story, becomes man against society. If your problem is an animal, then your animal becomes your antagonist. Okay, so what is our theme? Remember, there's man versus man, man versus society, man versus self. So even so, it could be something they're battling within themselves. And that's important to note and important for you to understand. So I want you to take this personality test as if you are your character and try and get as much out of it as you possibly can. Okay? And I want you to post in the discussion board about that. Now, we're also going to talk today about conflict. Like I said, the conflict for your story is born out of your main character. Okay? And there is external conflict and there is internal conflict. External conflict is something from the outside. It's a person, it's society, it's the earth, it's an animal, it's a machine, it's a fairy, a unicorn. I don't know. That's for you to decide. If it is internal, it is something they're battling inside. So if they are fighting depression, if they are kind of full of themselves, they'll be battling that quite a bit. So we'll go from character to conflict, and then from conflict to forming your plot. Now, I'm not asking you to outline your novel this week. I just want you to think about the plot. And so when we think about a plot, we think of Freytag's kind of roller coaster, narrative arc, okay? And I'm going to put the graphic here. Start by setting up our story, basically giving the background information. How did they wake up in the morning? Was there an initial fight or argument that started it all? Was there a thought that your main character had? What happened to set your roller coaster going up into the rising action? First, I want you to think about your very first scene, okay? What happens in your very first scene? What is the beginning? Is there a lunchroom conversation? Are they walking through the woods and something mysterious happens? After that, you're going to go into your inciting incident. So what is inciting? So we're talking about the thing that sets up the roller coaster ride. When you're just about ready to go up the hill, just headed towards the excitement, we have the inciting incident. And the inciting incident could be, you know, they run into this magical creature in the woods. Does it warn them? What does it warn them about? In the lunchroom when they're having this conversation, does it lead to a fight? Does it lead to a food fight? Does it lead to a new relationship? What happens? So we have, after our inciting incident, we have our rising action. And this is where the beginning of the book, up until probably a little bit past the middle, we're going to have some tension rising, okay? will this happen? There's a lot of questions, okay? Will the couple get together? Will the magical creature lead them to the land of who's a what's-its? Will the magical Pegasus give them a ride? Or if it does give them a ride, does something happen bad at the end? I don't know. I don't know, but this all leads to the climax. The climax is the main explosion in your book. It's that one scene where everything just either falls apart or explodes. So the climax is the explosion of your story. It is the big thing that happens. It's the thing that the rising action has been building up to. It's the thing that the falling action will fall down from. It is that one moment where your reader reads in the middle of the night and say, I can't put this book down now. I need to know what happens. It is the top of the roller coaster. It is right before you're getting ready to go down the hill. It is like, maybe it's the fight, maybe it's the first kiss, maybe it's a car accident, maybe when you're riding on the Pegasus, it runs into some of its friends. I have not fully planned. Okay. So then we move into, once we have that one exciting moment, which can only be a few paragraphs, or it can be a few pages, but it really doesn't need to be that long. It just needs to have the reader go, wow, what happened? Okay, then we go into our falling action, and that's where things start to resolve themselves. But at the same time, you can't resolve it too quickly. While the climax is usually middle to the end of the book, falling action kind of has less time to come about, but that's the way life is. Something big happens and you just kind of work really hard to get over it. And so the falling action is basically the cause and effect. The cause is the climax. The effect is what happens after your climax. It's all the things, people coming together, maybe relationships are ruined, maybe relationships are mended, maybe the fairies start to get along with the zombies. I can hear you laughing from here. So yeah, it's where things start to kind of work themselves out. And then we have the resolution. And the resolution is the end of the book, unless you're going to write more than one book. But even so, it's still the end of the book. There needs to be some sort of closure, even if you're going on multiple books. So the resolution is just kind of wraps it all up in a bow. Another thing is the whole book is based on this Freytag's model. However, every chapter is as well. So when you're writing your short story, novella, novel, understand that every single chapter kind of has to follow this whole system as well. It's what keeps the reader going, and that's exactly what you want to do. Haven't you ever been up reading a book in the middle of the night and you say, just one more chapter, and so you read and then something amazing happens in that chapter and you're like, no, I have to read to the next chapter. That's what we want. That's what we're looking for here. So, all right, guys. So I want you to fill out the personality test as if you are your main character. I need you to think about your conflict, and I want you to write a paragraph about your conflict. Okay, and then I'm going to attach the Freytag's model narrative arc to our discussion board, and I want you to fill that in so that you can start planning your book. Okay, so you're going to fill in fill in your setup, your inciting incident, your rising action, your climax, your falling action, and your denouement. Denouement is your resolution. Okay, until next week. Bye.